join us more often. Thank you, Amy. Completely forgot about that piece. This is going to be recorded so that it will be uploaded to our portal within the trainingofficers.org for you to grab later on as you maneuver through the rest of the program year. So our vision within TOC is to continue to build that community of learning and development professionals across the Fed, industry, and academia, and utilizing and gravitating towards those various best practices that we can share amongst each other. And how we do that is by providing a program year filled with a number of different opportunities for us to not only showcase what our agencies have brought to the table, such as our L&D showcases the third Thursday of every month, but also to bring speakers to us from various industry, academia, as well as our federal partners, to really showcase what it is they're doing and what they can do and how we can leverage that, and involving a lot of networking and social aspects to that so that we can learn from each other and continue to build this community that we have and that has been thriving since 1938. And the way we do that with our program year, some of you have already engaged and we're thankful for that, is we have our growth guilds, which is the first Tuesday of every month for 60 to 90 men starting at 11 o'clock each first Tuesday. And that showcases, and that's a webinar around a particular topic. And with each one of those topics, we ensure that we're aligning them with ATD's capability model and one of the capabilities within each one of those domains. We have our learning and development showcase, which is what we're doing today, third Thursday of every month, starting at 11 o'clock, where we learn about something exceptional, a program or an event or something that one of the federal agencies has done, has received an award for, or was nominated for that particular program, to share with the rest of the federal entities as well as our industry and academia to see how we can also leverage their aspects in moving these programs forward with our own agencies to leverage that aspect. Solution sessions, something new this year. We're going to be diving into Disrupt Everything and Win and doing a book review on that and how we can leverage that, as well as how we can leverage Franklin Covey as we move through. And that will start in September. And then we're also looking at doing a federal styles facilitator certification course that we are developing, and we're hoping to have that launched this October, that we offer to our registrants for the program year. And as more events come across, we try to bring that to our membership as well. Speaking of registrants and membership, our registration is still open. So if you go to trainingofficers.org, and if I can ask Amy to go ahead and put that into the chat, I'd really appreciate that. Registration is still open. As you can see here, that annual member registration cost gives you access to our member portal, not just the free content of the webinar videos or be able to view when our events are, what days they're going, and be able to register for those events. But we also have community practice we're trying to build within our new portal, as well as a learning center. We have member directories so that they can help increase and improve our networking to be able to reach out to those various other members and see, what are you doing in your agency? Or I heard you talk about this, and you're able to reach out to them more directly. Our discussion forums, as well as anything else that we like to throw in there, as again, this is a new portal that we're using this year. We hope you guys really like it as we're trying to put more into it and really solidify that community of TOC. Our registration and summit, again, our summit is coming up. So that involves everything of that program year, as well as the summit, which is going to be in Philly this year. So we're really hoping more people register for that and enjoy the adventure that we're going to have in that August day. And then if you just want to come to the summit only, that information is right there as well. And we're looking at potential lodging for that. And we're going to be at the Doubletree Hotel in Center City, Philadelphia.
Enjoy.
Yes.
I don't know if everybody saw, but Christmas came early, a Christmas in July gift for everyone. If you register for the TOC Summit for Philadelphia at the full registration rate, you get a free room on us. So let us know, send us an email, or go ahead and register, and we'll get you registered for that hotel room. So looking forward to seeing everyone. It's really exciting that we have these opportunities to connect and with the community and share ideas and lead through disruption. Back to you, Joy.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Amy. Appreciate that reminder. Speaking of which, that does not look like the way I had it posted previously. But The TOC Summit is going to be this August at the DoubleTree by Hilton in Center City, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We do have that passkey, so if you can register by the 17th, that'll automatically book you as part of TOC, and you get a additional discount as well that we're covering for you for those that have submitted for the summit only. Also, if you utilize our passkey, if you're going to stay longer than just that Thursday night or that Friday night and you extend through the weekend, you can utilize that passkey, and that costs for all the nights you're going to be staying in Philly. And again, as Amy had mentioned, lodging may be included now because Christmas did come early this year. For those that are attending, those of you that are still on the fence, we have our schedule here. Here's our schedule at a glance. DoubleTree by Hilton, Philadelphia City Center. The night before, we have our Taste of Philly welcome reception. So anyone that's able to get there the night before, we're going to have that reception. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot of socializing, a lot of learning each other, each other's programs, where we're hailing from, which organization we're representing, and how we can help each other. We have our opening ceremony and breakfast starting at 8 in the morning on that Friday morning, and it rolls through a number of catered events. Curated events until our closing keynote at 3 p.m. Through 4 p.m. And then we have a mild social after that as we say goodbye, and everyone either gets on the train, gets on the car, or for those of you like me, we're staying for the full weekend because it is going to be kid-free for me, and I'm so excited. Not that I don't love my children, I do, but it's nice to get away for a weekend. And with that being said, I am going to share 2 videos with you. Our TOC chair, Gary Powell, would like me to show these videos for you just to get you geared up and energized to really want to be able to jump in and join us for the summit this year. So bear with me one moment as I reshare my screen with sound this time. Okay, give me something if you hear sound.
Okay, your screen's not sharing yet.
Oh, stand by. Apologies, my share did not work properly.
In a world where you can travel anywhere, one city stands out during the nation's 250th birthday year, and it's the place that started it all. Philadelphia. CNN named it one of the best places to visit in 2026. The BBC said it's a city brimming with history, creativity, and pride. Travel and Leisure called its dining scene electric. The New York Times, National Geographic, The Wall Street Journal, and so many others agreed. Philly is the place to visit in 2026. And this year, 250 years after our country's founding, it's still making history. It's the city where our nation was born. So the question is, what are you waiting for? Book your stay now at visitphilly.com.
All right. Fortunately for me, my system doesn't like to bounce between video and my screen as well as I like it to with Zoom. But as you can see, it's going to be an exciting time. You saw the highlights from TOC 25. We're going to bring that same energy, if not more, to TOC 26. So please think about joining us. Whether you're academia, industry, or Fed, please go ahead. Please join us. We have a lot to share, a lot to do, and a lot to gain from each other during our summits. It's a wonderful time. So I highly encourage you joining us as much if you can. So with that being said, September 1st, not August. Oh, there we go. September 1st. So August 4th, last 2 weeks ago, number of you joined us for the Growth Guild Creative and Critical Thinking for Organizational Transformation. It was a very interactive session, and we had a lot that we went over that week. And so I hope you continue to move forward with that. September 1st coming up is writing about leading with people, developing others to get promoted with your new 2-page resume. So that is next month. That's going to be with Catherine Troutman, who's not with Management Concepts, but wrote the book on the 2-page resume. She had that published last year, the day before 2C 2025. So she showed up with a number of her printed copies literally right off the printing press when she came. And then next month, we have Michael Binder. He's going to be going over, and I just mentioned this, he's going to be doing a lot of macro and micro level. He has a very interactive session as well on August 4th. So please join and RSVP for that as well when you get a chance. So, but right now, what we're going to be going over is I'm going to be handing it over to Ms. Robin Talmadge, and she's going to go ahead and share her screen as she goes over the HUD SES Readiness Program. And for your information, for any of the programs that we have listed, they are all listed in our trainingofficers.org website. Go ahead and go there, and it has a list of events we have scheduled throughout the year. We're booked and through until December, and we continue to add more stuff in there. And you can RSVP for any one of our events through their portal. And Robin, I'm going to head ahead and turn it over to you.
All right. Well, greetings, everyone. I am super, super excited to talk about the SES Readiness Program. But before I do, I want to just thank you, Joy and Amy, and all of TOC for your wonderful support and the experience that we had being able to both apply, defend, and then also receive the TOC award. It was a great experience for all. And I really do want to just tip our hats to you doing that for us in federal service. So thank you guys so much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. Give me 1 second, make sure I'm sharing the right screen for you guys. All right, do you see it yet?
Not yet. There we go. It's coming up.
Okay, great, great, great. All right, so first of all, I have to say, this is from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is from our Talent Development and Workforce Planning Group. We were very happy to be recipients of multiple awards last year, and one of them is Talent Link. So on all of our nomenclature, we have our logo and then also our link to Talent Link, which is a place where anyone can learn about our services. But I also want to show this next one. I hope you guys can see it. It looks like something might be in my way a little bit. But this is the graphics that we use throughout our program for the 2 years. The one which we had won the award for was our first cohort. And we definitely made sure that we did exemplify leadership, management, and executive development, which was the category, and I will go over that with you all today. But let's talk about where it begins. I think Simon Sinek would probably say you start with why, and Covey would say that, it starts, you begin with the end in mind. So I wanted to talk a little bit about where it began. And you can see here a little bit about where our first cohort began and end. And I will show our second cohort at the end of our slides. But this is our first cohort. And You can see in the left-hand upper corner, those were the participants and those who graduated from our program. We had our acting secretary at the time, as you see below, giving a speech. And then also the group, as you can see there, I think you all probably know Kelly Gerstenberg. She was part of our team at that time. And Kelly was also, I know, a board member at TOC. But we had Wanda Campbell, Matisha Montgomery, Erica Foy, Jennifer McDaniel, Kelly Gerstenberg, Lori Makowski, which was our Chico at that time, and myself. And I say that because even though those are who pictured, there are still many who are also supported our team. And so where I think it begins with the people. My personal mission is to prepare people for their purpose. And so when I see the participants and the graduates, we'll talk about how they were prepared for their purpose as we go along. But it begins with us coming together as a team to make sure that things work and having the support of leadership, as you can see we had, that really want to see our leaders grow and succeed. All right, so why now we'll get to Simon Sinek's why. So why the SES Readiness Program? At HUD, we wanted to make sure that succession is important and it's something that we prioritize. And so we've got a great workforce planning team that works on succession challenges. And we partner with them to look at where we will be in the future. But we also heard from our leaders what you may not know or what it doesn't necessarily part of our program. We did some pre-events with OPM. We did a Executive Women in Motion event with OPM where we hosted people who were interested in leadership to let them know kind of what is available. Through that, we were able to get data. So we're a very data-driven organization. And then we learned that developing a diverse and capable leadership pool at that time was one of the things that was most important. So we responded to that feedback and decided to create the Readiness Program. So what is a Readiness Program? I know people are very used to the SES CDP. Which is the career development program that has to be approved by OPM. Well, a readiness program, what we thought was different because what we found from our data is that we had a lot of people who were ready, but may not be hitting the certification when they go to apply for SES jobs, or may not have the confidence or may not have a certain skill that's associated with the ECQ. And we wanted to make sure that even though they were almost ready, that we could get them over the hump to readiness. And so it was really important for us to create a program that really fit that gap and helped us to be resilient as a department in terms of our leadership profile. So what is the program? It was a competitive program. It was open to both GS 14s and 15s. They had to have at least 1 year of supervisory experience. Again, our plan, our hopes was that we were creating a pipeline of people who were ready to be able to step into a role when called. And so I think you'll see that we were definitely successful with that. But we wanted to cultivate those leaders, and we wanted to do it not only in a program by name or a program that was just created, I guess, with a methodology on paper. We wanted to make sure that we had a program that really involved all of our leaders so that they could become and learn from what was working and operating within HUD. So as you can see, we went to our executive review board and we got the HUD commitment to go ahead and proceed and equip our participants with the essential SES level skills. Now, I want to show a little bit about what happened in that first year. We had done a little bit of marketing. We had done a little bit of evaluating data of what we had, and we put it out, and we had 126 applicants. We were able to select 23, and in the end, we had 18 participants. But what you see on that left side, I think, is really important and tells you not only the value, but also the collaboration that we had. We had 30 senior executive members who volunteered their time and support for the program. So we had a lot of buy-in. 21 of those members acted on the panel that helped us to create in the first cohort and select our members. And then we had 18 of those who followed on and became mentors. And so we really did represent our whole department. As you can see, there were 15 of our program offices that were able to participate in the program. 31 of the 126 came from, just in terms of applicants, came from our Office of Housing, which of course is our biggest office here. And then we were able to include our other offices as well. And as I speak to this slide, I'm going to speak a little bit to our next cohort as well. So this was our first cohort. It represented 9 program offices. We included additional program offices in our second cohort. We also included our OIG, and our OIG, as most OIGs, are separate from our regular department. And so we created a partnership with them so that they could also participate. So you can see we had a very wide breadth with our program. And then I wanted to tell you a little bit about the program structure. Again, this is cohort 1, so I'll also be telling you some of the updates that we made in cohort 2. But we had our welcome program, a midway check-in, and then our SES Readiness graduation. We also had the SES Readiness workshops. And so those workshops were done by who you guys mentioned earlier, Resume Place. We did have Emily Troutman, who conducted these readiness workshops. And she not only worked with the whole group of participants, but she also was able to work with them individually and give them some coaches. We also had another TOC partner. We used the Franklin Covey to have some training for those, for our participants. And we also had office hours. So this was kind of how our program was set up. The one thing I will say is in our second cohort, we still did use Resume Place to do the ECQs, but as you guys know, our ECQs changed kind of in the middle of that. And then we also had, instead of Covey, we went with Courageous Agility in order to give our participants some work and training and integration on being resilient, because as you know, during the last year, that was very, very much important. So what was our outcomes? Well, one of the things that we're really proud of is we had 2 SES appointments. We had 2 people from our program who actually became SESs. And then we had 2 people from the program who actually entered an SES candidate development program. And I believe that that is really partly, I want to definitely make sure we give those people their due, but they will tell you that they're being able to work with Resume Place, they're being able to work with Courageous Agility. We're able to give them those opportunities, understanding and the writing to be able to make those certs and to be able to move forward. So we did do surveys and evaluations after. We actually did Kirkpatrick level 1 and level 2. And our survey ratings were always in the 4.5 or the 5 range, according to on a 5-point scale. So we had really great feedback, and we were able to use many of that data, much of the data that we received in our next cohort. So if you remember seeing before, we had mentors that were SES mentors, but not only that, we used another vendor, which was BetterUp, to support coaching for each of the participants as well. And so those opportunities we were able to increase our capacity as a department by utilizing those resources, but also, again, having that with that executive buy-in, that really high-level mentoring, really high-level coaching, which we believe was critical for our success. So again, I think some of the organizational resilience and continuity helped us in many ways. Not only did it help the participants, but it helped us as an organization shore up our succession plan and also know where we wanted to go in the succession plan. We got a lot of lessons learned from some of the things that we did. We were able to have responses to the programs that we had. The greatest thing I think I heard was that people really knew the materials, like with Covey and all of that, and they really understood, and they understood the importance of it. And we were also able to give them some increased opportunities with other programs and vendors. All right. So the other thing I will say is we have a maturity model. And one of the things about that at the top of our maturity model is to make sure that we have buy-in from our senior executives. And this allowed us to be able to do that. And it also allowed us to connect with our affinity group. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how we did that to create an 8-month SES webinar series called Journey to SES and what that brought us as well. Well, that's our next slide. So Journey to SES is really was kind of an outcome. One of the people who made SES, before they did so, said, hey, this is something that I think a lot of people need to know and understand. And some of the things that were learned along the way as they went through the program was like, we need to share this with everyone, but we also need to break down the ECQs. We need to make sure that we as a department are understanding those. And so we created a 8-month series that went over all of the ECQs. Our SESs were actually walking us through that. They participated, they came in, they talked about their journeys, they talked about how they went, like what happened when they went from a GS to an SES. We really got very in depth, and the series was so, I will say, compelling that we had 4,000 people who would tune in to our program. So over the course of those 8 months, we had 4,000 people attend. I mean, it's very hard sometimes for us to get people to come again and again and again, but they always did. They always showed up. And we were able to, because of that, we were able to win the HUD Secretary's Award for Employee Engagement because of that. And so we really were increasing our awareness of leadership within the department and prepping to increase our succession pipeline. All right, so we talk about, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the improvements that we made. As you can see at the picture on the right, that is a business case, a poster for one of the business cases that was created through the Courageous Agility modules that they went through. Increasing in cohort 2 is we wanted them to be able to present to an SES kind of at a moment's notice. What would it look like? What are the things and the key things that you need to participate? So we put them into groups, and they were able to come up with, they had to do some research. It was kind of like a case study for that you might do in a doctoral type program. And then they had to present those to SES and with certain criteria. And they were also then given some feedback on that. So this is a little bit different than a CDP program where they do not have a development assignment. We're considering that for the future, but this business case did give them some more development opportunities where they got to interact with our SES. And I will say something about our program is that I think sometimes, especially busy people, and all of our participants were pretty busy. They were kind of in the higher ranks before you get to SES. And because of what was happening over the last year, many of them were in acting roles. And it was not easy for them to kind of come up with this business case. But I think it gave them a real world view of what it is like when you are in that SES seat and you've got to get the buy-in. And one of the things I think they probably thought was, is this worth it? You know, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, it's a lot of meeting with the groups. If you've ever been with a doctoral program, you know, sometimes you have to kind of meet with your own cohorts a lot to get things done. But I will say they were able to present this to an SES who was interested in it. And this program has actually thrived outside of the cohort after the graduation. So that's just really important. And I think we actually have, I think I saw someone from the program, maybe with this one who's on the line. So maybe after they might ask a question or speak about it a little bit. But one of the things we were able to also do is because we had an alumni, we involved our alumni. They came when we were doing our briefings about the program. They came and spoke about their experiences. We were able to improve our criteria for selection and also for ranking. So before, the SES had worked together in committees, and you know, sometimes that's really hard. But this time what we did is we did a completely blind review. It was blind last time as well. But all we did was had them fill out everything via forms. We put those into different folders, and we had a few SES review a few of the application materials that we got in and rate and rank them. And that really improved our selection time, but it also gave us really clear delineation between the candidates. And so we were able to see, hey, this candidate scored above. It also helped us to make sure that it was essentially merit-based. So based on the criteria we selected, based on the applications they gave, they were ranked and rated simply because it was blind based on the merit of their application. And we were very, very proud of that. Again, they had to do the SES presentation. We did the mock interviews, and we were very, we worked with our TDA team. And so that team created a new evaluation for the new ECQs. So that was something we weren't expecting, but we did update our interviews to give them criteria on the new ECQs. And I think the reason why that was so important is because we wanted it to be real world. We wanted it to be something that they would walk away with, something that they may be challenged with the next day, or if they applied for the SES the next week. It was real world, real time questions that they were facing. So that was also really important to us. And then I will just say the addition of the Courageous Agility team, I think, is why they were able to get these posters done, why they were able to make those briefings. And I think that was a great experience that they enjoyed as well. All right, so we talked about where it begins. I wanted to talk about where it ends. And again, we had some pictures at the beginning. What I will say is all of this occurred during the DRPs and everything that was happening in federal government that last year. And you can see in that right-hand corner, again, we were still able to graduate a great cohort. We had great support. And I will just say Shannon Hart, even though she was our program manager, and I wanted to mention her since I mentioned the other program managers at the beginning, she did leave due to the DRP, but she came back for the graduation. And even though we did lose a couple of participants, these are just the ones who were in the room. There were also some online due to the DRP, and we lost some mentors as well. The reason why I believe this is full circle is because we had people step in who were supporting us. And so I I will let you know that we had our leadership. You can see here, our leadership did come speak at our graduation. We had our 2 alumni who came to speak at our education. Jessica Vasquez is now an SES. We had Angela also, who is gotten to the SES CDP program. And then Dr. Liu was chosen by her peers to speak. She was one of the graduates at the graduation. But last but not least, this big picture I want to show you here is this is just what we do at HUD, where it ends. I talked about preparing for your purpose. I was selected to go on a research trip in June, and we graduated in July. But the team that you'll see that I'm presenting to there, those are the people who stepped in to help to support us in our graduation. You may recognize them as EDD, the people who were here on, I think, a couple of weeks back, maybe last month, to do an award. And so where it ends is where it begins. And it's always with the people who will collaborate with you, people who will trust you to support their leadership, and people who will really support and champion your team. And that's what you see here. And so that's what we have for SES Readiness. And I'm really happy to answer any questions. I should have said that from the beginning. I'm happy to answer any questions as we go along. Back to you, Joy and Amy.
Thank you. So if anyone has a question, feel free to put it in chat or raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and call on you. And I only ask that you guys raise a hand so that we don't talk over each other as we go through this, so we can get everyone's questions answered. And I want to thank Robin for showcasing this SES program, and the fact that you guys did it and were successful through it through a DRP was amazing. It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, sharing that. Dr. Liu, I see your hand up.
That is the famous Dr. Liu.
This is exactly the beauty of this program, is that one of my mentees actually told me about this session, and she came to the graduation and she was saying to me, like, this is happening tomorrow, and I registered to come. And I would not have known about it if my mentee didn't come with me to the graduation to know about the program. But the reason why I raised my hand is just to share a bit of where I am right now and the benefits of the program. Even though I'm not an SES, it has given me a lot of credibility. So for example, when I go to the Treasury Executive Institute, I was invited to be a coach. Right now, I'm coaching someone who's a grade above me, and helping her decide whether or not she wants to be in the SES. And she decided she doesn't want to, but we shifted our coaching relationship to what she does want to focus on. Another thing is, like, even yesterday, a colleague reached out to me and they made this beautiful dashboard, and they wanted advice on how do you make it more relevant to the administration. And that's exactly what the program taught us, was how do you think about the mindset of your leadership and of the incoming administration. And even my own supervisor, that poster type executive presentation that we learned, I adopted it in our office. And now my supervisor has adopted that methodology for presenting to executives and presenting to the SESs across HUD. And so I just wanted to share that, because it's also that credibility that you get by going through the program, and just that higher level of understanding of what is expected of you, of how you treat your peers and interact with your peers. That's just so important. So I just wanted to put that out there. And it was just lovely. Like, when I left my desk and I went the first day, there was music playing, and it was a whole ambiance. It was, your mind had to shift away from the hustle and bustle of the day and fully engage in the program and really immerse yourself in something different to really transform yourself. And I can tell you, one of the things that was transformative for me was I had no idea my peers were going to pick me to speak. I had no idea that my name would be plastered in the program. Like, I'm such a low-key person. And so the day of, I'm like thinking like, okay, I'm going to read my notes and I'm just going to give this really brief speech. But the day before, or the days before, the coaches taught us not to read our notes, to be more of a speak from the heart speaker. And so I could not, once my mentors walked in the room, I couldn't read from my notes anymore, right? Because I had it all planned. I was like, I'm going to read from my notes because I don't want to be nervous. And of course, they walked in the room and I was like, nope, because then it would look like I wasn't listening. It went in one ear out the other. So then I had to give an extemporaneous speech and I got a standing ovation. And I must tell you, I was nervous the full time. The whole time I was nervous. My family came. I invited a lot of people from my network. But I found the confidence to give that extemporaneous talk. And the only last time I gave an extemporaneous talk was since high school. I competitively competed in extemporaneous speaking and it was horrendous. It was awful. Okay. But many, many years later, here I am surrounded by this program and all the resources and was able to really take advantage of what was offered. So I'm so happy to hear that it won an award because it really helped me take my learning and my understanding and my growth to another level. And I'm giving back. So I did create like a presentation for my peers and my network because I do have an aspiring SES leaders group that I run. Like it's an informal group. And so I took all the learning from that and I put it in a PowerPoint presentation and I shared it with all the different places that I volunteer with and things like that. So I took from it and I gave back as well. So I just wanted to say thank you, Ms. Tamblage, because it was so rewarding and it still pays dividends, not to me, but to others. So
that is a wonderful testimonial. Thank you so much, Dr. Loy. Truly appreciate that. And everything you gained from it and continue to share forward from it. We do have a question or a couple of questions that came into the chat. One from Dara. Was Courageous Agility the name of the vendor? If so, is there a link to their website?
I will get you guys the link to share. Peter Bravarso was the person who did it. He is part of the I think his name is Ventavia. So I will get that information. I just want to make sure that I got it correct. We often called him the Courageous Agility person. So he kind of rolled with that name, but I don't want to mess it up, but I will get you his information. He's amazing. And he is part of the international group for performance. And so I'll get you that information as well. I'll make sure that I get the latest from him so that I can share it. He was amazing.
Thank you. And once we get that, we'll share that as well across the portals. That'll be wonderful information. Thank you. From Jeff, how long was the program? 12 months? Did you use any internal instructors or facilitators? He had a few questions. What was the cost of the program? And then he thanks you for presenting today. So length of the program, cost of the program, and did you use internal or external facilitators?
So thank you so much, Jeff. I will say our first cohort was probably truncated. As you all know, being in federal government, there are a lot of things we have to consider: funding, budget, CRs, all of those types of things. Ideally, we would like it to be a 12-month program, but we've never had the opportunity to start it with that just because of kind of some of our funding and things like that. So what we did for the first cohort, I think we were just 6 months. I know it was faster than we wanted because we had to get started a little bit later. But our last program was 9 months. We started in October, kicked off in October, and then we ended up graduating them in July. So I will say that does not include kind of the application period, which we usually take. Maybe we start advertising that like in September so that we can get everything in by October, do be able to, do the rankings and selections and vet all of those things, make sure that we're vetting it through our employee relations teams, all of those things that we have to do, our labor relations teams, before we're able to like move forward with candidates. And then we were able to start. So that was on the time. Internal instructors and facilitators, I will say yes. We have a great cadre, I would just say impeccable cadre of trainers that are a part of the talent development and workforce planning team. And so we try to use them whenever we can. But who we leveraged for this one was Shannon Hart, who I mentioned before. Shannon is the person who set that tone. So she did some amazing things with the, just as Dr. Lou was talking about the ambience, she set the music when they came in. She also had them write a letter to themselves so that they could have it at the end of the program. She did a briefing on mentoring and how that relationship works and how our mentees actually had to embrace and make sure they got the best out of that. So she did a lot of that internal work as well. And then we had, Covey was our internal vendor at the time. So we used them, but we also now are able to facilitate some of the Covey things as well. And we plan to always introduce that, but the program manager is the person who will kind of move that in. And then we also would always let them know what internal programs we were running at the time as well, so that they could sign up for those, which may not actually be a part of their cohort, but were available to them.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay. Cost of the program. I know. I don't think we'll disclose our cost just because our procurement team worked with that. So I think it varied both times, just depending on the depth that we were able to go in based on the program length. And so I will just say our major cost was our vendors. And then after that was just kind of supplies and, all of the things that go along with letting the program.
Understood. Thank you. And I think those were the last questions I saw within the chat. So along the lines of cost, because we offer a lot of training to our agency as well, and I actually manage some of those programs. So when it looks at cost, I understand when you're bringing in vendors, that's going to be cost. Is there a cost to the individual employees' organizations? Do they spend their internal training dollars to access the training from HUD?
That's a great question. So we did not have any cost for our internal people who were selected, except for travel. So as you can see, our cohort was all across HUD, which means they were in our field offices. We did not exclude based on location or program office, any of that. Everyone in HUD was able to apply if they fit the criteria. And so one of the things that the program office had to pay would be any travel that was associated with the program. Mm-hmm. Other than that, all costs were covered, except for our OIG. We have very, as you guys probably know, very clear lines of delineation. Like we're not on the same system as our OIG, in terms of our internal, in terms of our IT systems, automate systems, all those kind of things. We're very separated. And so for that reason, they took on the cost of their own mentors. They had to pay a fee for those who were in the program. And we did just divide that fee by our costs, which were the vendor costs.
Got it. Don't see any new questions. I do, because of what I do have additional questions. Hopefully it's beneficial to others.
No, I hope
as well. You mentioned that you used a vendor for coaches for your cohorts. Is there a reason why you didn't use the federal coaching network?
Okay, so couple of things. We do have internal coaches, but we also use BetterUp, or did at that time, as our vendor for executive coaching. And so we wanted to make sure that they had the same experience that our executives were getting in terms of coaching. And so that's why we did that the same. In our second cohort, many contracts went by the wayside. So we did use our internal coaching network, and also we use TEI, which we're our partner. So I think you mentioned that earlier, Treasury Executive Institute. We use their coaches as well.
Okay, but not the federal coaching network.
We did not use the federal coaching network. although
Got it.
some of
Okay.
our internal coaches are
Our,
part of
our
the
members.
tips. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. When you mentioned you had a 6-month cohort and then the last cohort was 9 months, did you see a difference in output between doing it in 6 months versus doing it in 9?
I will say, and I again, I hope 6 months was right. It may have been a little bit longer, but what I will say is, no. And here's the reason. We had great vendors whose services we contracted out, and we were very outlined in what we wanted and what we needed, and they provided those services at a wonderful, excellent caliber. So no, we made it work with the time we had. And then I think the program, as much as you can create the methodology and how you're going to practice it, it really belongs to the participants. You know, I think you as a participant get in what you put in. And so one of the things about this being a competitive program is not only do they show up, but they also show up with their own ideas. And so I think it kind of becomes its own, entity based on the cohort, and they get out of it. And they know what they're signing up for in terms of time and how much time. Again, it has always been our hope that we could do it for a whole year. And we just haven't been able to do that just because of, external circumstances. So no difference.
Got it.
I think
and
the
I do
differences, Joy, I will just say, are probably based on, our environment, what's happening. So it was a tough year last time because of everything that was going on. But again, resiliency was one of the things that we were working for. So they really did persevere.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the being able to answer the additional questions. I don't see any more questions that came in the chat. I don't see any more hands raised. We're about 4 minutes out, and I want to thank you so much. We love bringing HUD back. HUD's, I think, who was it that mentioned it in here? From Tammy, HUD's talent development workforce planning team is exceptional. As they've showcased, I think it was, how many awards did you guys win last year? Three or four from HUD?
Yeah. I want to say, yeah.
And
actually, we won 3 as TDWP, but we also had someone else in HUD who won an individual award, if you'll remember, as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we also have October 15th, the HUD Talent Link is going to be presenting. And so that's another exciting one to stay tuned for.
Yeah,
well, thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. So this video will be posted on our portal. Once it gets solidified and finalized, it'll be up there for your viewing privilegers. And we do recommend you go ahead and send this off to someone if you know someone within your agency that is trying to put together or trying to figure out how they can build their SES readiness within their own agencies or their own areas. Please forward on to them, or someone in industry or academia that can support our partner agencies across the area in helping them build and address their SES readiness needs. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the session. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful rest of your day and your weekend, and we will see you next time.